up out of a dream that I laid down to try to understand first before I came on here. Went to the prayer room and asked if I should share the dream. So there's a few different segments in the dream. The first segment is I'm on a bicycle taxi. I'm the peddler. I'm the driver of this bicycle taxi. You know how they have them like in Japan or in the Middle East and those old countries. And I'm driving my sister, Lois, who has already passed over. I'm driving her, and we're going on like if it's a hiking trail. And it's the color of that red rock mountains, like that in Sedona. And this, you can see the sun, how the sun is on it. So we're going and going and going. And then up ahead is a big mountain. And when I get there, I can make a left. I'm going to make a left. But when I get there, I thought, nah, I better not make this left because I don't know that road, I said. But that picture in front of me, if you can imagine with me, is a hiker trail road. If you go left, you can go left. But between me and that hiker trail road is a big old like hole, like kind of canyon. And then on the other side was another like hiker trail road and then the mountain. So road, hiker trail road, big old hole, and then on the other side of the hole was another hiker trail, and you can go up the mountain, whatever. Or next to that was the mountain. Or like if you're going down a regular highway, right? You got the left side of the road, the right side of the road, and then the right side of the road, you can pull over for an emergency, and then there's a mountain. Imagine that. But this is like all red rock, clay mountain. This is where we are. When I get there to make that left, I said, no, I don't know this road. And all I can imagine was like all these bumpy, big old rocks in the road. So I turned our bicycle taxi around. And when I turned it around, I said, wow, that road is really narrow. Now, mind you, it's the same way that we just came. But I turned the bicycle taxi around to go back the same way we came. But then I said, that road is narrow. And these bicycle tires may not fit through there because it's a three-wheeler. Okay, it's a three-wheeler bicycle. And I wasn't afraid or anything, but I had that thought. And I just went on through the narrow road. Now, the next scene was about, I'm gonna have to tell this because when I woke up to record it, I didn't remember it. So I have to tell it in order. I don't know what this all means, but I'm just telling the dream. Now, this next scene has nothing to do with the first scene. I'm talking, at least I don't think it does. I'm talking to a man, and the toenail clipper broke in half. And he said, "Oh, that cheap toenail clipper, that thing is cheap." I said, "But that's okay because I got a backup, and I had a small one, like a fingernail clipper, a small one." And I said, "You always got to have a backup." And that scene was over with. The next scene was I'm now sitting at a table, and there's a man sitting directly in front of me, like where like the head of the table would sit, and then somebody would sit over here like that. I don't know if this table was squares or round. I don't think it was round, but I can only remember him being there and me being there. And I remember a man came from behind me and took this man and said, like, you gotta go. Like, come here with me, you gotta go. But when he picked the man up, it was like he was all limpy, like if it wasn't even a real man. And it was like more like an animated kind of a man, meaning like a cartoon character, like Gumby. It wasn't even like a real body of a man. And the man was just like he was just all limpy, and he wasn't saying nothing. He was just going along with the man. And so they go, and then the next scene after that, that very same man came behind me, and he said, like, he took me out of my chair, and he said, "You got to go." This man took me to another table. But when he picked me up from my chair by my arm, something fell out of my hand onto the ground. I don't know if it was out of my hand, but I know something fell to the ground. And I looked, but I don't remember what it was. It was something small. But then after that, he takes me to another table. But when he picks me up, he fixes my dress, like pulls it down. I guess it was up in the air in certain places. He pulls it down. And that's when I noticed I had on a wedding dress, right? Out of the dream, when I'm thinking about the dream and recording my dream, I'm like, that was a wedding dress that I had on. And I believe it was like a pinkish, like a, fuchsia, like a fuchsia pink. And it was a wedding dress. And he was fixing it. And he took me to another table, not far from the table I was at. But the table he took me to, when he sat me down, and he walked, when he sat me down, oh, when he took me to the table, okay, and sat me down, he leaned into me like this in front of my face, and he, like, his lips touched my lips. It wasn't like he was trying to kiss me, but it was the kiss. He said, "You saw me for the very first time. You saw me for the very first time." That's what he said to me. "You saw me for the very first time." And then he walked away. And then I looked at my table, around at the people at the table. It was children sitting around the table. I saw two little girls. I know I saw a little girl sitting next to me, but then I know there was other little children sitting around the table, and then just me. That was the dream I had. Now, this man's face, it was a olive kind of a skin, and his hair was wavy, and it was about right here. Because I remember when he leaned in to give me a kiss, uh, to say, "You saw me for the very first time." Now, I never saw his lips moving when he said, "You saw me for the very first time." It was when he was at my lip, I heard him say, "You saw me for the very first time." So that's my dream, you guys. That was interesting. And what I take from the one scene where the bicycle tires, I said the road is narrow right there. I believe I was taking the narrow road, right? I was taking the narrow road and not the wide road. Whoa, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because the other roads that I described were wide roads with a hole in the middle. So I was taking the narrow road. That's my dream. So I promised I would come on here. I promised him that I promised the Father that I would come on here and give me tell the dreams that he give me. All right. I love you guys. Love you guys. Love you guys. Take care. See you at the wedding supper of the Lamb. To me, that's what that last part meant, is that I'll be at the wedding supper of the Lamb. That's what that meant to me. That's what that meant to me. Love you guys. Take care.